Today we're diving into something that might feel a little more technical than usual, but it's fast becoming a must-have for business analysts. The topic, 10 things every BA should know about Git, GitHub, and how these tools connect with continuous delivery and continuous integration.
The Better Business Analyst Institute
presents the Better Business Analyst Podcast with
Benjamen Walsh.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Better Business Analyst Podcast. I'm your host, Benjamen Walsh, and we are diving into something that I said was quite technical today, and that is Git, GitHub, continuous delivery, and continuous integration. Now, you don't need to turn into a developer overnight, but if you want to thrive in agile environments, work smoothly with delivery teams, and understand how requirements become real software, then Git and GitHub are tools you want in your BA toolkit. So let's count down the top 10. Number 1 is version control is for more than just code. Git isn't just for developers. You can store requirements, diagrams, even test cases within Git. I once saw business rules tracked in Git. It gave full visibility on who changed what and when. You can start with Markdown docs. They're very simple, lightweight, and GitHub friendly. And I should say there is a difference. Git is the kind of protocol, and GitHub is the kind of main site that we use. So you kind of use them interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. So GitHub is the most popular place to use this. Number 2 is branches equals safe experimentation. Branches, which is branches of code or branches of your project, let teams work in isolation. So an example here could be that a BA at a bank creates a requirements branch for draft user stories. Devs review them, comment on them before merging, right? So there's no lost versions and no email clutter. You can use it for this. So again, it's not just code. Number 3 is pull requests, which is collaboration. So pull requests are for conversation, not just code, right? So you can use pull requests to validate acceptance criteria with devs, and this builds trust and I guess it avoids mismatches later. So pull requests is when you pull down the latest version of the code set, right? So for a developer, that's pulling down all the different code changes that they've made, so they get to pull the latest, and the GitHub or Git repository is where all the code's stored. Now, I keep saying code, but you think about this, you can use exactly the same area to store documents. Number 4 is traceability through commits. So when you make a change to your code, usually, but it could be to your document, you commit that code, that document change, back to the repository. So commits are a history log. And you can link Jira or Azure DevOps and your stories that are in them to commits. That way, if a stakeholder asks why something changed, you've got an audit trail. So every time you do a commit, there's notes, and you can actually go back to that commit. You can go back in time. Number 5 is that there is a concept of GitHub issues and projects. So GitHub issues are like a lightweight backlog. I've seen BAs use issues for user stories, linking them to milestones and release planning because they're working in an environment with a dev team. So this is generally something you might do if you're working within a dev team. You could use the tools that they use and GitHub issues, so GitHub being the platform and issues being an area within the project. If your dev team is already using GitHub, meet them there instead of forcing them into another tool. You can also sync the issues in there with your issues in Jira or DevOps, which of course means you can use your tool like Jira, and it will create those issues into GitHub. There are integrations that do that. I guess a top tip here is that GitHub isn't just about version control and storing artifacts and version control. It isn't just a dev's workspace, right? It's a gold mine for resources. So I've thrown this in after number 5. So you can actually go and have a look at GitHub and just search and find some stuff. Most cutting-edge AI tools, open source frameworks, launch first on GitHub. So you can explore trending repos, they're called repositories, and you might find templates, automation scripts, or even AI models that can speed up your analysis work. There is a explore page, and you can check it weekly on GitHub. I do this a lot because I get involved in app development, and I go to GitHub all the time and search for a tool. For example, if you're looking at maybe the latest diagramming AI tool for BAs, it will first be on GitHub. So have a look. Let's jump back into number 6, and that's continuous integration, CI. You may have heard about this and not known what it is. CI means every time something changes, they're pushed and they're tested automatically. So if you think of a dev team or a bunch of BAs, but let's take devs in this example, they're all working on different areas of code or features within an application. Continuous integration allows them to all work on there, push those changes into the central GitHub repository, and they're all tested automatically. If you understand this flow, right, you just need to understand flow. You don't need to build the pipelines, but you should know that when a test fails, a requirement might be broken, and it has a dashboard. So when things get deployed, either we'll talk about that in a minute, which is deployed out to the server or production, but even the tests, all the commits coming, it will show you if a test failed through CI. There's an example here that a retail project, right? For example, let's say if you needed all your acceptance criteria, which is your link to your requirement, if they need to be automatic tests, then CI or continuous integration can expose those gaps instantly, right? Because you'll see a little dashboard and you'll see which tests failed. Now CD, which is number 7, is continuous delivery. And CD is about pushing working features often and quickly, right? All about agile. This means that you can get stakeholder and customer feedback fast, and requirements are validated in days, not months. So if you follow Agile to the T, the whole idea is at the end of a sprint, you have a working product, an MVP, that you then iterate on, right? And that's where CD comes in. Because what it means is after you've done your CI and everything's working, you do your CD, which is your continuous delivery. And in theory, at the end of your sprint, says the Scrum manual, then you are pushing a production-ready product. And that's what CD does. It pushes out the working product to your server or to production or to your customers, and then they can test it and provide feedback. That's what CD is all about, doing that again and again. And you set this up so when you make a change and you've added value by tweaking code or changing requirements, whatever it is, usually code, then it's tested automatically through continuous integration, making sure integration testing is working, and then CD will push it out to production. And of course, when I say production, that could be a test environment, it could be a closed beta. It doesn't necessarily mean to everyone in the public. Number 8 is around environment awareness. You might hear devs talk about dev, staging, and production, and that's where this world connects. Learn the difference. If a stakeholder tests in staging and says it's not live, you'll know how to explain it, right? And I just talked about you have different environments, and this GitHub or Git repositories allows you to deploy to these various different levels of, testing environments, staging environments, and production environments where you do various different types of testing. And so that's important, and you should understand that. Number 9 is around data and privacy in repos, or the repositories, but they call them repos for short. Not everything, right, belongs in GitHub. So if you upload real customer data, that's a big compliance issue. You don't put that into GitHub, right? So you need to be very clear, and there's something called git ignore. It's a git ignore file, and you will just mark out from your repository or your code what you don't want to be synced to this master repository, this GitHub. So never commit sensitive data, and you reference it instead. So it means that you need to do coding properly, and you need to do records management properly and look after your data. And you can reference things like keys and secret keys that are stored away in different areas and just read that in your code. So all those best practices in development you will pick up as a BA, and they're just great practice. And number 10 is mindset changes. It's around shared responsibility. Git, GitHub, CI, CD aren't just dev things. They're team tools that you should know about. As a BA, embrace shared ownership. Your role is to collaborate, trace, and validate that the delivery equals business value. So you should be embracing and learning about these tools. So there you have it. 10 things every BA should know about Git, GitHub, and CI and CD. From version control and collaboration to using GitHub as a treasure chest for the latest AI tools. These aren't just technical extras. They're enablers for better communication, faster delivery, and more credible business analysis. If you found this useful, share it with a fellow BA, and I'll see you next week.